This is Reis. I'm with the Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization's Grant Chapter member and a student at the University of Nebraska, Omaha. I'm joined by entrepreneur Mike DeLazzer, founder and owner of the Codell Corporation and founder of Redbox, formerly Get a Movie. Mike, thank you for agreeing to speak at the upcoming CEO National Conference, and thank you for joining me today.
Hey, no problem. I always say it's the highlight of my year to go to the CEO.
Fantastic, and we're happy to have you. So just a couple of questions for you, just to get your thoughts. So let's start off with question one. When did you decide to pursue entrepreneurship, or were you destined to be an entrepreneur from an early age?
Yeah, that's a question I ponder a lot, because I kind of get the feeling that entrepreneurs are born and not raised, but sometimes I waver in that because, in my family, nobody was an entrepreneur except my grandfather, who was kind of a consummate entrepreneur, and I also identified a lot with him as a kid growing up. So, he had some influence on me, but I think part of the success or the desire of entrepreneurs are the fact that many of them are trying to prove something to somebody, and maybe that's a part of their upbringing and not, genetics.
Okay. Awesome. And then question two, can you tell us a little bit about your current company, Codell Corporation?
Okay. Well, Codell basically is an importing company that I've had since 1996. I started that after leaving another importer that I was a part owner in, and it's kind of running on under its own steam right now. I don't really, work on any new projects with it, but there are some legacy projects that just won't go away, and I, luckily make money off of those. But currently, I'm involved in a new venture. I was asked to be CEO of a new company called Freeze Frame Tennis. And that's really kind of a cool project. The reason I'm basically retired, but I was kind of drawn back out of retirement because it hits all the buttons for me. I play tennis quite avidly here in Florida, probably 5 days a week, and I enjoy it, and I enjoy getting better at it. And the new business is basically we put a bunch of world-class pro coaches under contract who will provide stroke lessons to anybody in the world via a video clip that you send of your whatever stroke you're trying to work on. And it's relatively inexpensive, and it's something that most people that are tennis aficionados could never dream of being able to, take a stroke lesson from Maria Sharapova's coach or Roger Federer's coach or Phillips' coach or, some of these top players in the world. And it's relatively affordable. So it's a cool little project, and I'm looking forward to moving on with that.
Awesome. That kind of leads us into the next question. So you're also the founder of Redbox, formerly Get a Movie, which began in 2003 while running Codell Corporation.
Yep. Well, I never really say that I'm the founder because it was a group of people that developed various parts of Redbox, and so I would only count to being a co-founder or a founding member of Redbox. Because I don't want to diminish anyone else's contributions, obviously.
Right.
But yes, we started a company back in 2001 called Get a Movie, which developed the video rental kiosk concept, and we developed a very, very robust system that eventually attracted the attention of McDonald's, who was trying to roll out another platform. And once they saw what we had and who was producing for us, they decided that, we were very dangerous, and they decided to acquire us, and we became partners, and then it was rolled out as Redbox LLC in 2005.
Okay, and then the second part to that question was kind of what drives you to challenge yourself with new projects and companies? Because you said you came out of retirement for free spring tennis, partly because you love tennis and you love the game, and that was just the perfect calling for you. But what drives you to kind of challenge yourself constantly with these new projects and companies?
I don't know. Endless curiosity, I think. I think a lot of entrepreneurs are extremely curious people, and their minds are always moving. And I'm only 58 years old, and I've been kind of retired for 5 years now, except I've been working on startups the entire time, trying to launch a different thing. But I don't like to keep my my mind unoccupied with things. You can only play so much tennis or go out on a boat or do other things. So I like to do these kind of things. And to be honest, when you're in a position like me, people present you with opportunities that you don't look for. They look for you. And, I've had many, many opportunities I've passed on because it wasn't something that really interested me, or the people I would have to deal with weren't my kind of people. But in this case, it hits all the right buttons because it's pretty cool to go. I don't know if you guys are tennis guys, but I was at the U.S. Open yesterday in the Tennis Channel corporate suites, and you're sitting there with Cliff Drysdale, the announcer, and you see all these top athletes and their coaches and people you see on TV all the time, and it's kind of a cool deal.
Yeah, sounds like it. Very cool. Well,
yeah, that's what I'm always clicking in my head. So if the right thing comes, then it's like the scene in The Godfather where they he says, you think you're out, but they pull you back in. Well, that's kind of the way it is with entrepreneurs. You think you're done, but somebody's always trying to pull you back in.
So you don't see yourself really slowing down, or as a serial entrepreneur, you don't really see yourself slowing down or finding a time to kind of stop looking for these new ventures.
Well, at this point in my life, I really don't want a 40-hour work week. So I will take interest in things where I know that it's not going to wind up, sitting me behind a desk for 40 hours a week for, an entire year. So in cases like this, we're running a software-based business that, things are transacted almost automatically, and you basically just kind of be the driver of the idea and the driver of the business, and not, have to be the bean counter or the paper pusher. And those are things that I'm definitely not interested in at this phase of life. So, you pick your projects, and that's kind of what happens when you're in this situation. There's always people looking to see if you can help them out. And I'm, always willing to talk to anybody about their idea, no matter how harebrained it is, because at one point in time, people thought I was insane. When I told them I was going to build a machine that was going to, put Blockbuster out of business, they basically said I was delusional. And I always thought that, I don't know what they're not seeing that I'm seeing, but apparently I was seeing things that they weren't. And that's what entrepreneurs have to offer the world. They see things, they see the world as they want it to be and not as it is. And everybody else sees the world as it is and doesn't really know how to make it the way they want to be.
Okay. And then I'm definitely looking forward to your talk at the 2014 CEO National Conference in Orlando. What do you plan on sharing with young entrepreneurs in attendance?
Well, luckily for me that, you guys keep graduating out of college, so I can pretty much do the same speech over and over again, and everybody thinks it's new. But so I'm lazy that way. But to be honest, the one speech I give and I like to give, and people I think receive well, is the story about how the entire process of getting to Redbox came about. And it's quite, I mean, if you've ever seen it online or whatever, it's quite a weird transaction. It's almost like a clip out of Forrest Gump, where certain things had to happen and certain things were improbable, but they did happen at the very end to make things a success. And I like to share that with young people, because failure is they say failure is not an option. Well, then you shouldn't be an entrepreneur. Failure is definitely an option, and most likely will happen. But I tell people not to worry about it, because that's to be expected when you're doing something new and untried, and that the key is just to keep going. So that's kind of the gist of the speech. I won't get into the whole thing, but that's what I'm going to talk to again. And I think there's a breakout session I'll be doing, and I'll probably talk about how I go about forming a team when it comes to starting a small business.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait for that speech. It sounds like there's going to be a lot of information in it. So when you first started, you mentioned this in the beginning of our call. You didn't really have a big entrepreneur-based family. You're kind of the first entrepreneur besides your grandpa who had some influence on you. So what advice would you give to someone in a similar position where they don't have a lot of connections? The entrepreneur route is not one, that is particularly, it's frowned upon, I guess.
Yeah, I've actually had kids come to me at conferences, and they'll say, "Hey, I have this really cool opportunity to do this thing," and my parents say, "Absolutely not. Don't even go down that road." And I say, to them, "What do your parents do?" And they said, "Well, they work doing this." And I said, "Well, then they don't get you. So why should you? I wouldn't listen to them. They're not going to understand you. We are mutants when it comes to the normal world. Most people want to be sheep. They want to follow somebody's, idea that is already set in stone, that they're going to get a paycheck off of, and you're looking to start something that doesn't exist, and people just don't get that. So I always tell them, just do it, to steal a Nike phrase.
So that leads us into the next question, where what value can students and young entrepreneurs really get out of an event like the CEO National Conference?
I'm sorry, you have to repeat that one again.
What kind of value can students and young entrepreneurs get out of events like the CEO National Conference?
Well, one thing I get out of it, I don't know about students, but one thing I get out of it is it's really uplifting to see that there's this younger generation that has the desire to create something and do something on their own. And, when you get to be, over 50 years old or whatever, you start to see a lot of loss, friends, family, and then, you get into this period where you start looking at news and going, oh, geez, nothing but bad news. But when I go to these conferences, I think I come away thinking we'll be all right. There's another group of people coming to take my place and other people's places, and we'll be all right. And I think kids that come to these conferences, if I was there as a student, I would say, hey, there are other people like me here. And maybe there are other people like me here that I'd like to, partner with and do projects with. But, a lot of times being an entrepreneur is a very lonely job, because you're the head, you're pushing, and no one's really pushing with you. You're most of the time they're pushing against you. So I think at the conferences you can see that you're not alone, and that should be helpful. Plus, you get to learn a lot of things because you listen to idiots like me talk, and maybe some of that sticks and it makes sense.
And then why is mentoring young entrepreneurs important to you?
Well, I think the biggest reason I do this is because, when I was going through trying to slay the 300-pound gorilla, which was Blockbuster, there was no one there to help me. I mean, it was me and and my partner, and we were just fighting, a monster that everybody said couldn't be, brought down, and there was nowhere to go to. Nobody I could talk to that knew where I was in my journey, that could say, listen, this is part of it. So I like doing this because I want to tell kids that, I always say to people that if being a millionaire was easy, everyone would be a millionaire. And it's not easy, and it's not supposed to be easy. That's the way things are set up. And I'm not sure why, but that's the way they're set up. You just don't have an idea and all of a sudden have, millions of dollars in your pocket. It's a struggle. And I want people to know about the struggle so that when they're in the struggle, they can say, oh, yeah, I remember that guy said this about that, and it's just to be expected. And hopefully they take that away from my talk.
All right, and then my last question for the day is what's your best piece of overall advice for young entrepreneurs?
Stop caring so much. Stop caring what people think. Stop caring, how bad things are. Just do, I like to say to people, you should be more like an animal. When you're an entrepreneur, you should be more like an animal than a person. Because, I live here in South Florida, and I watch, dolphins chasing fish and stuff, and they're not always successful. And I never see a depressed dolphin. I never see a dolphin go, God, I stink at this. I wish I was better at catching dolphins. I'm depressed. But people get that way, and people, their emotions get the best of them. So, I think it's better to be like a dolphin or a shark when you're in this situation and say, my job is to get this fish, and I'm going to go after it until I get this fish. And I don't care how many times I try, I will get this fish. And, that's the important thing that entrepreneurs need to grasp, in my opinion.
All right. Perfect, then. Thank you for your time today, and I really look forward to your speech at the 2014 CEO National Conference in Orlando this year.
Yep, me too. I'm looking forward to the conference. It'll be fun. It always is, and I hope you guys fill the place up.
Absolutely. So it was a great time last year, and I'm really looking forward to this year as well.
All right, take care, guys.